Alrighty, new Perek Vav. Yep. So this is on the mitzvah, which really is the main mitzvah. What we did in the last Perek was the subdivision. This is the mitzvah of kavod of talmidei Chachamim, right? So the review of what we did yesterday is, according to Rav Moshe, based on, this is his svara, but it seems like the strongest support is from the Gemara that we did of uvasora so yehege, and which he uses to explain a bunch of other Gemaras. You're only chayav to honor someone who is able to be machadesh in Torah. That's how you make the Torah yours. Okay. And he even goes so far as to say, he says, if a person knew Baal Peh, all of Torah Shebechsav and all of Torah Baal Peh, but he was not able to be Medama Milsa Lemilsa, Mevin Davar Mitok Davar, and Machadesh and everything like that, you would not be chayav to honor him. No, not even. He holds that across the board, the only chacham who is in the entire mitzvah of kavod talmidei Chachamim is someone who can be machadesh on his own. I'll just show you just the highlighted line, just so you can see it with your own eyes. Higros Moshe. Why can I not? Why does this new search engine not work? Windows. What else? I did. I shouldn't have. I did, yeah. My reasoning was like, I'll have to do it eventually, and I might as well do it over the break, so that I can like get used to it. But
my friend was like, yeah, you should upgrade until this app isn't wanting certain things.
I know, that's what I did last time. Where is I can't even find the Engross mode.
I deleted when I have my new laptop.
Yeah. All right, fine. So I can't find it, but that was his svara. Okay, so we said that there's no way to know for sure whether that is what the Rambam would hold, but it is consistent with the reading of the Rambam, because the Rambam does say chachma, right? And that was one of Rav Moshe's arguments, is that actually I have it here. I don't have the highlighted version. So just to refresh my own memory here. Chachma, we're just reviewing from yesterday. Chachma is. Yeah. So his conclusion: "V'nogeh ze gam ladina shelachein ein mechuyavin la'amud mipnei adam sheyodea kol haTorah shebechsav Baal Peh v'af gam mitorah shebal Peh im ein mevin ledamos milsa lemilsa kedei la'el." So you don't even have to stand for him. That's why I'm saying even for our mitzvah today. And then he wants to say that everyone holds this. It's possible to say everyone holds this in the Gemara, but we want to say that this is consistent with the Rambam, because you could say that this is what he means by Chachma, and the Rambam's definition of Chachmas Talmud is Mevin Davar Mitok Davar, Medamil Davar Ladavar, all that stuff. And you can also say that this is consistent with the Rambam saying that this is the one who brought you into Olam Haba, that it's really like, activating your mind as a creative Tzelem Elokim, I also yesterday talked about how I asked for Pesach, what he thought of the Gemara, and it was kind of what I said in Shir on Thursday and what Pesach said on Friday night, and what Ramosh was saying are all kind of similar. That it has to do, you're really honoring the Gavra for the impact that the Torah has had on him, and whereas the Shita who says that you can't be mochel, says that you are honoring the Torah that's in him. So that's a catching up from yesterday. Yeah. Okay. So new mitzvah, or not new mitzvah, new Perek, same mitzvah. Kol talmid Chachamim, mitzvah lahadra. Every talmid Chachamim, it is a mitzvah to glorify him, and let's say glorify until we find a better word for hidur. The af al pi she'eno rabo, even though he's not your Rav. Again, just to point out one overarching question which we hope to answer. In the Sefer Mitzvos, the Rambam says the mitzvah is to honor every Chacham. And he says, even though it's every Chacham, there's a yesh bo yichud, there's a special mitzvah which is to honor your Rav. Here it's the exact opposite. Not only does he present the dinim of Rav Muvhak first, but here he says a mitzvah to honor every Chacham, even though he's not your Rav. Like the Havmin is, you would only honor your Rav. Which again, it's consistent with the Mishneh Torah. It's just weird that he flips it. Okay, Shneimar, as it says, mipnei seva takum v'hadarta pnei zakein. Okay, before what the little translation of seva is? So most people translate seva as old age, but our scroll always says hoary old age, Hoary. Hoary with an H means frosty or white. So really what it means is the word is primarily like someone who's gray with age, you know. So you should arise, and you should glorify the presence of an elder, right? So Rambam says Zeh Shekana Chachma. Now, is your understanding that Zeh Shekana Chachma is going on the entire pasuk or only on the second half?
I mean, I'm wrong with that.
Based on the Rambam, it sounds like what?
It sounds like the whole thing.
Okay,
Well,
you can say the whole thing.
Is that the entire pasuk or just part of it?
That it says V'yareis Melkecha Ani Hashem. That's the end.
That is the whole thing.
Okay.
because the reason saying is because if it's gonna only quote a portion of the pasuk, like then why quote a non-relevant portion?
Oh, so I can answer that question. The answer is because Mipnei Seva Takum is included in the mitzvah, because he's going to go on to say that there is a mitzvah to honor people who are old, even though they're not Chachamim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's why it's unclear whether this Zeh Shekana Chachma is just defining what a zaken is, or whether it's the entire mitzvah. And the other reason, my hidden agenda in asking this, is the Onklos seems to say the opposite. Okay, Onklos. Yeah. Zaken sounds like it means actual zaken. So Onklos on Vayikra Yud Tes Lamed Beis says, so he translates Mipnei Seva Takum, min kadam desavar ba'oraisa takum. In the presence of one who is knowledgeable or explains Torah, arise. This v'hadar tapnei zaken, this sehedar ape saba. Saba is an old man, right? And you should glorify the presence of an old man. And you should fear God, right? So he says the opposite.
Yes.
Right? Seva is he's saying savar ba'oraisa, and zaken is saba. And I'm pretty sure Saba means old man. I'm just going to check it out and see if it has the same ambiguity. Right. That's what I'm saying, that it is possible that he's saying that it's going on the entire. Or you're saying just on the first part?
Yeah. Like almost.
You could say that. I won't, but yeah, then it is weird that he quotes the second half then. Saba, oh, that is a proper noun, Saba? Sorry, check this out. Primarily gray or old, but also elder or ancestor, or scholar. So so if that's what Uncle's means when he says Saba, then you could say that the whole thing refers to the way you want to say. Yeah. Okay, more open to that now from Uncle's. Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, go ahead. I cut you off.
How do you know that one of them means?
Oh, meaning that.
Meaning it's
right. So then both halves. You're saying if both halves are talking about the same thing, is that what you're saying?
I'm thinking a reason why is only is that if no one said the first half of it doesn't say the second half.
Right.
Then you would have a different.
Then you think it's an old man. So you're saying, hold on, so you're saying, but then the fact there's the second half, and that zakin means Zeh Shekana Chachma. Oh, that means old man, you're saying. Oh, so okay. So the second half means old man. Right. Because the second half means old man, then the first half must mean something other than old man, because then it would be redundant.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
you can say that.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, I hear that. You mean in any event you need both halves. Yeah.
Yeah, what he said.
Okay, all right, good. All right. And I wanted to show you also. Oh no, not yet. Okay. All right. So let's. I don't know what is in store for today, so let's read a couple halachos and decide what to focus on. All right. So let's do the mock. Oh, sorry, we didn't finish reading the halacha. So Zeh Shekana Chachma. Yeah, because I've also heard that Zeh Shekana Chachma is a notricon for zaken. Notricon meaning like a not exactly an acronym, but like a play on words. That Zeh Shekana Chachma zaken. That's how Chazal are interpreting it. But but I don't know what the source of that is. Okay, from when are you obligated to arise in the presence of a chacham? Once he comes close to you in your arba amos, until he passes from your presence, okay, from in front of you. Now, let's compare this to your Rav, because the first half is clearly different. The second one, though, sounds similar, and I just want to compare the differences. So where did he say about your Rav? Yeah. Look at Hey Zion.
Is this counseling?
Yeah.
So,
Hey Zion in Talmud Torah. So that's clearly different. Once he enters into your eyesight, into your field of vision, I mean, until he becomes concealed from you, and you can't see his body, right? Like his stature. So that does seem to be different, right? So what does he mean by chacham when he says what would you say that means practically?
I mean, this is false memory.
Okay.
Within the
Right, but it's funny because he doesn't say until he passes out of your daled amos, right? So is this more machmir than that, or is this more makil than that?
Actually, first a question. What are the halachos of a father?
You're right. We should look at that also. Yeah. So that's what I'm also.
More mental than would mean his hold.
Oh, okay.
I you don't see his face anymore.
Oh, that's interesting. So I think.
And if you're
I think it's your pun of. Oh, I think it's your pun of. I think it's more makil. Yeah, Joseph. I'll tell you why in a second. And then we'll compare it to the father.
So I would say how far else could possibly be more machmir than the rough thing, because
no, it's not more machmir than the rough thing.
I've been more machmir
than daled amos. Yeah.
What?
Meaning, certainly when he enters your daled amos, then you stand up, and then Chaim said his false memory, or his possibly false memory, is you stay standing until he exits your daled amos. And I said Rambam's clearly not saying that. He says ad yavor k'neged panav, but the question is yavor k'neged panav more machmir than your daled amos, or more makil than your daled amos?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, so you're not compared to the Rav.
Yeah, not compared to the Rav. Rav is definitely more machmir. Yeah. So my argument for why it is connected, why it's more makil, is because, and again, I'm reading it connected panav is in front of your face. Is like, let's say I'm sitting here and my Rav enters my daled amos, which is around that door-ish area, right? So he enters there. So I stand up. But then as soon as he passes in front of me, even though he's not out of my daled amos yet, then I could sit down. Like as soon as he just passes in front of me. Well, panav is my connected panav facing my face. You know, that's what I would be inclined to say. And I'm not saying this definitively. That's what I'm inclined. Let's look at the av though and see what he says there. Yeah.
I guess I was the thing we work was that if the Rav is coming towards you, like as in you see him coming towards you, you're not I think you would not be required to stand until he gets into your forearm.
Right. Yeah, that's clear. What? You're not supposed to. The question of would it be?
I don't know the whole thing that like someone does that like in the way.
So let's. I actually have a Torah Tamiма on that question, or not on that question specifically, but I think can answer that question, which we'll look at after we do this. I think it's a good question. Would it be? Let's three options, right? Either you're only chayav to do it when he's in your forearms, but you can do it outside. Right. Okay, so it would be a kiyum. That's one possibility. Right. Second one is it would be like it would not be kavod, so you just wouldn't be accomplishing anything. Right. Third possibility is it would somehow be negative. Right? There's like three conceptual possibilities. Yeah.
What's negative?
That if you stood up before him before he gets into your forearms, then somehow that would be negative.
Oh, I can see that possibility.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that it's like moving it.
Right, it would deprive you of the ability to be machabed him. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so fine. Let's do the Torah Tamiма now. So the Torah Tamima, I just came across this when I was looking for which of the drashahs of the Rambam does he quote. This Torah Tamima on that pasuk in Vayikra, 1932. we were going to go back to some of these in a little while. Okay, here we go. So Takum Vahadarta, Tanya, it was Sana Brisa, Ezehu Kima Sheish Bahidor. What is considered a getting up that has Hidor in it? Reminding us of a question that we said we were going to answer in this Perek. What is the concept of Hidor and what is its relationship to Kima? Because remember, the Rambam said by your Rav, if he's Mochel the Kavod Machol, but you still have to be Mahadir him, right? So we just wanted to get that concept. Okay, so hold on, I just lost my place because I made this bigger. So what is a Kima Sheish Bahidur? Haviomer Zed Dalaramos. That's Dalaramos. Now why? So the Torah Tamiма says, I think this is just Pashut Pshat. Ratzalomar, the Bashir Kazed Nikar Shemilafanav who Omed. That with this shear, it's discernible, it's recognizable that you're standing because of him. Zehu Hidur, and that is a glorification. And similar to this is you're obligated to remain standing until he passes from before you. That supports my reading of Mikeneged Panav, I think, meaning until he passes in front of you. So if, let's say, a regular Chacham who's not my Rav walks in the door and I stand up, so then apparently that would not necessarily, it wouldn't be clear that is, I'm doing that because of him. Maybe I just wanted to stretch, right? Mm-hmm. If it's my Rav, so there's a pre-existing relationship between me and him. So then you can say that me standing up is a type of kavod. So now based on that, it sounds like if you were to stand up before he was in your Daled Amos, you just wouldn't be accomplishing anything. And that would be at best. At worst, you're depriving yourself of the ability to honor him when he comes close to you, because then, if you did that, you have to sit down and re-stand up, Right. And I'll just mention in passing, so I don't think I actually mentioned this in when we did Kavod Harav. When I was asking Rav Pesach a long time ago about Kavod Harav, I think I asked him, and again, it's possible that his answer changed. When I asked him, let's say he comes in at the exact same time every day, and I'm sitting here. And let's say these are the facts, right? I know that when I hear that door open at 9:10, that's Rav Pesach, right? So even if I don't see, I said, if I don't see him, should I still stand up, or do I have to wait till I see him? And so he quoted a Gemara, which I don't remember where this is. That anyone remember one of the Tanaim or Amoraim was very makbid on kavod aim.
I think it's somewhere.
Yeah, it would be in condition. Yeah, so I think there it's the Gemara says that when he heard his mother's footsteps, he would stand up. Yeah, right. So I think that fits in with both of these things. I mean, clearly, if it was just a regular chacham and you hear someone's footsteps, has nothing. Your standing has nothing to do with him. It doesn't have hidor in it. But with your mom, then it definitely can be in the same way as there with the Rav, it's a pre-existing relationship. You could say that that's covered, that you're already at attention when your parent comes in. But let's see what the Rambam says in Mamrim Vav. If you were wondering why the word dreadlocks was being highlighted, it's because I was looking into the sugya of is dreadlocks chukas akum. Because I just thought of that question today, because dreadlocks was popularized by the Rastafarians, which are a religious group that wear dreadlocks religiously, and so the question, and I saw it because I was looking at the Rambam, and the Rambam says, he's giving examples of hairstyles that are chukas akum, and he says, growing out the fringes of your hair like of Avodah Zarah, and I associated what could that be in the modern day? I was like, oh, dreadlocks, but that's not religious. Oh wait, it is religious. So if anyone finds anything about dreadlocks, I'd be curious. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet. You could argue that.
Why is the A more stupid than the suit?
Yeah. You could. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Here we go.
What?
Oh, lame. Not lame for Ram. Lame for us. He says by the it's in Vav Hey. Sorry, Vav Gimel. The Omen b'fan kederach she'omen mipnei rabo. Okay, so it's not a different lashon.
Okay, so Av is like Rabo.
Av is like Rav, yeah. Which is what we should have expected, but yeah, that's fine. Okay. Let's just read this last part in case it's relevant. Av shaya tamid beno. So a father who is the student of his son. Ein ha'av omen b'fnei habein. That's interesting. The father does not stand up in front of the bain at all. That's interesting. Right? Meaning not even for kavod chachamim.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
I wonder if that.
Let's think about that. Let's just
Not
read the
about
sentence.
that. I had a thought
But the son does stand in front of his Rav, Alpha P Shehu Talmido, even though he's his Rav. So that when we were doing like clashes between the two mitzvos.
That's not something we're talking about.
No, it's an interesting thing. So let's just summarize the facts and then we'll analyze it. So ordinarily, you would assume that anyone who's a Talmud of a Rav, then he would follow all the procedures of the Rav thing of standing up as soon as he sees him, or at the very minimum, treat him like a Chacham. But in a case where the father is the student of the son, father doesn't stand at all, even though his son is a Chacham, and the student stands up like like you do for any Av, even though he's the Rav of the father, even though the father is the Talmud of him. Yeah.
Maybe you want to use it. Two use probably has one that the son can be mochel, so he's more or less required to be mochel.
Sounds like he's saying a default thing, not that he should be Those you say he should be mochel.
And the second problem is that maybe you say the code for the Rav is more machlir, so therefore we give the Rav. So therefore, only with the Rav or the Talmud can have a mitzvah, the Rav gets the mitzvah. So therefore, the father doesn't stand, so the Rav can get the mitzvah.
It also seems a little too working outy. I'm going to pause this for a second. So can we figure this out, even though it's a side road? Yeah, but to repeat, it sounds too complicated. Like, in ha'av omin b'fnei haben, aval haben omin b'fnei aviv, afal pi shehu talmido. Strange, right? It just goes against what you would assume, because kavod rav overrides kavod av. So this is like not intuitive. While we're thinking, I just want to see if there is a Gemara that might help us.
Wait, didn't we say that the argument was home? Yes. Yeah. But it takes priority, right? This is like an actual override. Now you could argue that this is the same thing. It's just you can't prioritize standing. Like someone has to stand. You can't prioritize. Like you have to pick one or the other. Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, how do we explain that? Right. This is any of correct. Yeah. That's this is a more problematic case. Wait, not able mamrim. Vav dalid. Weird. The editors of the Mishneh Torah, look at the way they classify it here, right? So in the bad Mishneh Torahs, it puts this halacha as part of. Hold on. Oh wow. Okay, this is a perfect example of the misclassification, right? So in the printed Mishneh Torahs, then the halacha we just read is part of the Ezehu Kavod. And then the new halacha is chayav l'chabdo b'shar drachav. But in the Rambam's, but in the Rambam's actual division, then Dalit is a new one. Chayav l'chabdo b'shar drachav. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to get caught up in that. It's just radically different. But anyway, okay, let's do קידושין and see this. I bet if I say hav, it's going to be a lot of things. Nope. Talmud. Was it Amud Aleph? What do we see here? Oh, it might not be. Oh, it's Amud Beis. That would be why. Oh, because it probably goes into Aleph. Okay, Talmido. Okay, maybe you would pay if I look into this and just figure out what the sources are that are relevant, and then we come back to this one tomorrow, and we can go back to the main thing now. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. More efficient use of time. Okay, so we're back to the Rambam here. So our original question. So I think we have resolved that the way to read this is once he passes in front of you, then you could sit, right? So it really is a certain. So it is interesting that there is a concept. This might not be precise, but like there's a concept of shear,
with the regular chacham. Whereas there's no concept of shear for your Rav. It's just as soon as you see him, you stand up, and you stand up until you stop seeing him. Like you are standing the entire time he is in your field of sight. Here, it's the shear is you start within the 4 Dalamos because that is mahadir him, and then if you were to sit down anytime before that, presumably then that would be like a lack in it. At least that's how the Torah Tamiма was understanding it. Then once he passes you, you've discharged your obligation. Yeah. Anything else we need to think about there, or are we good? I think that's pretty good. Yeah. Let's look at the Makbili just to see what he says. Mitzvah, Mishneh Torah. Okay, fine. We get that. Zakin, Chacham b'chol gil. So that's a Chacham of any age. Haramuz b'roshe hatevos. Yeah, that's why I was saying with the notricon. Zeh shekana chachma. Ve'en hagil chashuv. The age is not important.
So very clearly not like Onklos.
Not like Onklos, correct.
Well, like you say, Chachamim means.
Right, correct. Yeah, not like that. So like our first reading will class. Yeah. Okay. Next Rambam. In omdin mipanav, we do not stand before him. Lo bebeis hamerachatz, lo bebeis hakisei. Not in a bathhouse, nor in a bathroom. Shenemar, as it says, takum bahadarta, kima sheyesh bahidur, a standing that has in it glorification. Ve'in bale umanios. And workers, for lack of a better term, are not obligated to stand in the presence of Talmidei Chachamim at a time when they're involved in their work. Shneimar, as it says, takum hadarta, arise and glorify. Ma hidur she'ein bo chesron kis, just as glorification does not involve a monetary loss. Af kima she'ein bo chesron kis, so to a standing that does not involve monetary loss. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's confusing, right? How did he say it here? Mitzvah lahadro, right?
Wait, what pasuk is it called?
Same pasuk that we've been doing. It's punctuating it differently.
Okay.
Right? Takum v'hadarta b'nei zakin. So it's takum v'hadarta. It's taking the middle words of those psukim. Yeah, I mean, I think that what you have to say then is that the mitzvah is lahadro, but you do it via kima. So if the kima that you would do would not be mahadir him, then you don't have to do the kima. Yeah, that part is less clear to me. That's not clear to me. I just before we think about that, I just want to reread the first sentence of the Sefer HaMitzvos for that mitzvah, just to remind myself of how he defined it. Yeah, similar thing. Stand up before them in order to glorify them, right? Okay, so let's before we get to Bali Umanios. So why? Okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, right. Okay, so in a beis hamerachatz or a beis hakisei, presumably the standing is not yesh bahidur because you're naked, right? And that's the opposite of hidur, right? It's like, immodest, right? Okay, then now the question is, what is this idea? So that's understandable in the sense that there is a category of like hidur. There's hidur is intrinsically contrary to like acting in a degraded, immodest way. Okay, but the second one is weird. Hidur, ma hidur she'ein bo chesron kis, as if that's somehow obvious. I'd say to the contrary, when you're mahadir something, doesn't that often involve an expenditure? Like that's what we say for hidur mitzvah, of like if you spend extra money on it, you know.
What does it mean? I don't know what it means. I thought you were like saying like glorify, like not hearing the name of it.
What's the difference between what you're asking and what I'm asking? Okay, right. I mean, because the question is like, what's the sense of the drashah? Is what I'm asking.
Well, is there a separate source for this hidur is without chesron kis?
No, that seems to be the given, right? Just like obviously hidur she'ein bo chesron kis, you know. Meaning that I mean, it sounds like he's talking about Hiddur in general, just like Hiddur has no chesron kiss.
I've never been sensitive.
Unless you would, that would be ma Hiddur she'ein bo. Oh, he does say she'ein bo. I guess. Like, yeah, it sounds like his premise is either that Hiddur itself is like antithetical to chesron kiss, or he means just as it's obvious that no, this doesn't make sense. That the Hiddur you do for them shouldn't have chesron kiss, then certainly you shouldn't stand for the chesron kiss. But I don't know though. Let's look at Rambam Bekius just to see if we're missing a fact here. Unless they want to. Unless they want to. I mean, shouldn't it be up to their employer? Unless it's a thing where like, oh, fine. Okay, maybe it's a thing where like they're employed based on whether they're constantly working, whatever it is. All right, she'eno chesron kiss, she'eno karuch behefsed ksafi, that it's not like bound up in monetary loss. Biglal shehifsiku es avodasam, on account of interrupting their work.
Actually,
that has to be going on the second chesron kiss, right? Not on the first one.
I guess I see like. All right, maybe I'm trying to get. Are you ever required to do Hiddur?
Well, that's the mitzvah, right? Is mitzvah lahadro. Talmud Chachamim mitzvah lahadro. Outside of what? Outside of standing?
Outside of like a zaken.
Outside of a zaken. Like yeah, I can't think of any offhand, but I don't know for sure. Like yeah, but isn't that using Hiddur? I mean, I know my question presupposed the opposite of what I'm about to say, but like that's not being. You could see room for there being two different concepts of Hiddur, you know.
So what is this concept?
I mean, no, like, let me go through the steps that went through my mind that I didn't put together verbally. That when we first read this second part of the halacha, and he says, just as Hiddur involves no monetary loss, so too obviously here, then the kima that you're doing today lahadro should involve no monetary loss. So my first response was, what do you mean Hiddur has no monetary loss? To the contrary, we spent extra money on mitzvahs to be mahadr them, right? But that clearly doesn't jive with this. So either you have to say that there are two different types of Hiddur, or you have to say there are two different types of Hiddur. Like I feel like you have to say there's two different types of Hiddur.
And it seems like the other type of Hiddur is like directly related to the whole concept of the
The other concept of Hiddur is with the mitzvah?
What we're dealing with, right? I have to do another example.
Yeah. You're looking for another example?
He's saying, it's me and Sal had a holiday over here, right?
Yeah.
Not quite the Hiddur of the Rav, so you, ending with the Hiddur of the Rav at no chesron kiss. It's not like a holiday.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay. Just as the Hiddur of a Rav in general has no chesron kiss.
So he was ending.
Right. It doesn't cost you anything to honor someone. Yeah. That's like
so here, honoring the Rav isn't costing chesron kiss.
Yeah, that's weird. Right. Yeah. So is that what he means then? Let's try that reading. That intrinsically, there's certain things that have or not intrinsically is the worst word to use. Think of like the act, the standard act. So maybe tell me if this is like what you're saying or along the lines of what you're saying. The general case of standing for a chacham doesn't cost you anything, right? Right. So it's free, right? So too. So what this is saying is it's extending that to become categorical. That therefore you're only required to do standings that are that don't cost you anything. So if standing for a chacham would cost you something, then you don't have to do it. Does that have anything to do with what you're saying or not really?
Yeah, I think what I was trying to
get. Yeah, it's taking this one quality from the standard case of being mahadr and then saying that that's an actual parameter of the mitzvah.
I think that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Is your saying has to be a type of Rav Hiddur?
Well, remember, Rav hitter and this hitter are the same.
Yeah.
From a hitter standpoint, the kavod, the Rav has a lot more, but the hitter is the same. Okay, so let's also just avail ourselves of the Torah Tamiма in case he gives a better explanation. So he quotes the drashah here. I haven't seen the Torah Tamima yet. Takum v'hadarta akish kima lehidor. It's making a hekesh of kima to hidor v'hidor lekima because there's two of them. Ma hidor she'in ba bittul malacha. So the Rambam does not bring this down, by the way. Ma hidor she'in ba bittul malacha af kima she'in ba bittul malacha.
He should have brought it down. That's his.
Right, but then he says the second one he does bring down. Uma kima she'in ba chesron kiss, af hider she'in ba chesron kiss.
It's the reverse.
That is weird. The Rambam has it in Russian that was.
Wait, where did he even talk about bittul malacha?
Well,
He never.
he doesn't.
He doesn't, right? Yeah. Right. The case is the bittul malacha. Right, and so when you say okay, backwards got me confused. Meaning he should have used the first drashah and not the second drashah.
And he has a second drashah.
And he has a second drashah, but he doesn't use the first drashah.
No, also the second drashah
is backwards.
Oh, it's backwards. Oh, ma kima on my hitter. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Okay, that's what he meant by backwards. Yeah. Ma kima she'in ba chesron kiss. Yeah, that is weird. Yeah. All right. Strange. All right.
It makes more sense, but
All right. So let's do.
Maybe.
It could be that his thing was different. Yeah.
Oh.
It could be that his version of the drashah was different. Yohu would say that. Kafik would say that. Kafik loves jumping upon the. I think I made a pun by accident. Hold on. Kapat means to jump. Never mind.
Although
Yeah.
the Torah means drashah could not work for the Rollins case. Because in the Rollins case, kima would be. Oh wait. I was gonna say.
Yeah, first drashah works very nicely for the Rambam.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the Gemara because it's really short. Mipnei seva takum v'darta takum. Oh no, that's not the one. This is Kiddushin Lam Gimel Amud Aleph. Bittul. Yeah. Bittul. Okay, so it starts off with Amar Mar. Oh, hold on. Oh, so this is the Gemara just trying to find out what the mitzvah is. It sounds like Amar Mar Yahol Yahadren b'mamon. You might think that being mahadir means like with money. Tilmod lamar. I've never heard anyone pronounce it that way. Tilmod lamar. That actually makes more sense than Talmud lamar, right? Yeah.
I can't not think Talmud.
I know. You should learn to say. Yeah, fine. Takum v'hadarta. Ma kima she'in ba chesron kiss. Af hider she'in ba chesron kiss. Let's just see if there's a basic Rashi on this.
It's just things where it's like, where there's like being asked about pronunciation of things and just saying this is how people pronounce it is probably wrong, but this is how people.
Yeah, I mean that there's so many things in Gemara like that. See, look at this. This is also weird. Rashi puts the Gemaras out of order as well, right? So the Gemara, our Gemara says, "Ma kima she'in ba chesron kiss, af hider she'in ba chesron kiss, v'kima leis ba chesron kiss." Does standing up not involve a monetary loss? Milos kinan deka nakiv marganisa. Are we not talking about where your marganisa? Oh, sorry, never mind. Milos kinan deka nakiv marganisa. Where's the nakiv marganisa?
When it comes to gears, what's the this is all Torah use the Vilna Shas as its default?
Good question. We can check in a second. Dekan nakiv marganisa shu nokiv margalios. He's puncturing pearls. I guess like it's a fine craft. Rashi milo eskin klomar milo mashma nami afilu nokiv marganisa shu manas yukarahi. Right, it's a precious craft, a fine craft. Matzrich le lemekam, and he needs to get up. Afagav debatum malachtav ikachasron kis. And he'll be bottled from his malach, and there will be chesron kiss. So it objects. So adhachi v'hachi kaim mikame ubatil mimalachto. So he, when in the midst of him doing this, he is going to be bottled from his malacha. So then the Gemara answers, Ella akish kima lehidur. Okay, so now it's saying the other way around. It's being makish kimat hider. Ma hider she'en bo bittel, af kima she'en ba bittel. Just as the hider that has no bittel, so to a kima that has no bittel. Rashi, ma hider she'en bo bittel, te'en lashon hider ela nesius panim, oba maman oba kivud devarim. So hider only implies a lifting of faces, either through like favoring, right? Either through mammon or through honoring with words or things. But it does not imply bitul malacha. Okay, so that's one approach. He's saying that, or one in we have. Hidur, he said hidur she'in ba bitul malacha or hidur she'in bo blank means that hidur doesn't intrinsically have this as a part of it. Hidur can mean hidur does mean like you're mahadir something with money, like in the case of the mitzvos, or you're mahadir someone with words by like praising them. But there's nothing like, mahadir means you stop working.
Yeah. So it isn't like mahadir is inherently positive term of an action, it cannot mean a negative that you should see something else for.
Or at least doesn't imply this negative of stopping work. Yeah. Let's say in contrast to, let's say in English, memorializing does imply bitul malacha, right? A memorial day is one where you don't work, or a memorial hour in Israel with the siren thing, you stop working, So that's what it means. Hider does not contain in it the concept of bitul malacha. Okay, so now that makes sense. So af kimash ein ba bitul malacha. So too, when you stand, you're only chayav to do a standing that doesn't involve bitul malacha. Va'akish nami hidra lekima, and it also is makish the other way. Ma kimash ein ba chasron kis. Okay, what does that mean? Ma kimash imba chasron kis, daha ukimna de b'she'in ba bitul malacha askinan, v'sulo shayach ba chasron kis. So is he linking the drashos? Because we established that we're dealing with a case where there is no bitul malacha, v'sulo shayach ba chasron kis, and therefore chasron kis is no longer relevant to kima. Okay, so once it's no longer relevant, af hider she'en bo chasron kis ve'al karchecha lo nichtav hider ela lidrosh, and therefore hider was only written to darshan k'ta amran, as we said, l'me'ute amida mirachok, to exclude standing from a distance, l'me'ute beis hamerchas k'damrinan, and to exclude the bathhouse, as we said. Okay, hold on, one more step. Mikan amru, from here, af bali umanios rashayin lamo mipnei talmidei chachamim shos malacha. That you see from here that people who are working are permitted to stand because for talmidei chachamim at a time when they're doing work. Did he just like pull a fast like drashah disassembling drashah thing? Like it's not like he was saying hidur does not intrinsically involve an idea of stopping work. So too kima, you don't have to do a kima that involves stopping work. Then once you're saying a kima does not involve stopping work, which means that you're not going to lose money on account of it, so too the only hidra that you're obligated to do is one that you're not going to lose money on. And that's how the Rambam's learning that you don't have to stand if you're going to lose money. It's just a weird, like, I've never seen a drashah like that before. We're like, yeah, it's a weird flow. So the drashahs have to go in this order in order for them to work out, right? You couldn't start with saying ma kima she'in ba chasron kis avhider she'in ba chasron kis because it got it from the first drashah. Yeah.
Yep, that weird.
That's weird. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, right? The final drashah, right? That's the limud, right? Yeah, right. Although it still would work out better. I mean, the way he states the halacha is bali umanios, which sounds more like first drashah. Yeah. Like let's here's another case. Let's say you had a case where you're working a job where you're paid by the hour. Or let's say you're paid by the day, right? No matter how many minutes you're working or whatever. Right. So standing up is not going to cost you anything. So that's a nafkamina, is you're doing bitul malacha, but you're not having a chesron kiss, right. So the Rambam sounds like he's saying, since he makes the whole thing dependent on chesron kiss, that's the only factor that matters. It doesn't, I still want to see what the Torah Tamima says, yeah?
Fine, let's just get it.
Okay, Torah Tamima says, Kish kimala hider v'hider l'kimama ki hider she'im ba b'dam malacha afkim she'im ba b'dam malacha. Torah Tamima says b'hider lo shayach b'dam malacha. In hider, the concept of b'dam malacha is not relevant. Shari hu rak nesius panim derech eretz ba'alma. B'kach b'kima chayav rak b'kazo. She'im ba b'dam malacha. So too in kima, you're only obligated to do it like that, where there's no b'dam malacha. Mitam zeh ein hapolim hechuyavim la'amu mipnei talmidei chachamim or mipnei zaki b'shah she'oskim b'malachta. So that's how we would have read the Rambam, right? That you're not obligated to stop working since the concept of hitter doesn't involve stopping work. Therefore, you're not obligated to stand in a way that would make you stop work. Right? Just 1 second. Second one. And once we say that we're talking about a case where there's no bitul malacha, and therefore there is no chesron kis, makshinan lo gam hider gam kain ba'ofen kazeh. So then we apply it back to hider in this way. So it is the way we learned the Gemara, right? He's just explaining the way we learned the Gemara. So it's just a weird drashah. Yeah.
Maybe for review is just it has to be both hider and chesron kis. There's no case, or it has to both be kiyum and hider. There are no cases of kiyum, which are
kima or ki. What do you mean kiyum?
Kima, standing up.
Kima, yeah.
There are no cases of standing up where you lose money. It's also there are no cases of standing up that's both hitter and you losing money. And there are no cases of hitter that's a kima with you.
Yeah, it'll work out that way, right?
Just that. I can maybe have phrasing wrong. I think like doesn't work out to say that it has to be the overlap of both of them. And inherent to kima is there are no cases of kima where you lose money that's not also not a.
When you say there are no cases, you mean there are no cases where you're chayav from this mitzvah, not no cases in concept, right? You're not trying to make this a universal about kima and hidur in general. You're saying this about this mitzvah, or
I guess so. I guess I'm not sure that they're just.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. Right. So let's do that then. What does it mean, lahader? Right. And he's saying that the only two expressions of that are basically nesius panav, and that's going to be in mamon and kavod. That's how Rashi said it, right? Torah Tamima had that slightly different way of saying it. He said, "V'derech eretz ba'alma." Yeah.
Maybe it's you're saying you're chiyuv and kiyum and your chiyuv and here have to be this at the same time, and that the only types of standing that are. That the only types of standing that are not chiyuv and hitter, the only types of standing where you lose money are the ones that are not chiyuv and hitter, so those don't count. And it's also.
I'm so confused. I'm
trying to avoid being circled by saying it's an overlap. That's just.
But it's not an overlap.
What?
I mean, it's a sequential. It works out sequentially, right? He's saying the starting point of the drashah is hitter does not involve stopping work. So therefore, the only type of kima that you're obligated to do is one that does not involve stopping work. Now, once you say that gives us our second building block, that if you're not stopping work, then you're not losing money, which means that any hitter that does cause you to lose money is also not in the mitzvah. Is that accurate? Okay, good.
So once you prove, it's like, well, I guess once you've proved that the only type of, if it's think about like a overlap, so let's go with the question of losing. So I guess imagine an overlap. So first it says, so we know that there's no kiyum where you lose money, but the question is there's one type of kiyum where you lose money, where you stand up. But then it says no, but the one where you stand up, that's not hitter. So all that's left is the ones where you don't lose money.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't know why you need to say that.
In order to,
what question are you trying to answer?
I'm trying to avoid a circular argument and just make it an overlap.
But it's not as, I mean, I know what you're calling a circular argument, but that is how the Torah Tamima is saying that the drashah works. The Torah Tamima says, Once we establish that the whole case we're talking about is where there's no bitul malacha, and as a consequence of that, then there's no loss of money. Then makshinan lo gamkein hider gamkein ba'ofen kazeh. We go back to hider and apply it the same way. So if you were darshaning, then like I would agree with you that your drashah would be better, but he's saying that this is how the drashah works, and he knows more about drashahs than I do because he wrote a book on it. All right. I just want to see one thing in terms of thinking about the concept of hitter. I don't know if this is going to help us or not, but I was looking at. I don't know if I mentioned this yet in this year, but Torah added a feature. Okay, so we know Torah's feature about the biblical dictionary, but what they added is they added all the Sefer Shirashim from the Rishonim. So you've got the Radak, the Sefer Ha'arach, and the Ibn Janach and Menachem. Which Menachem is? But Ibn Janach was a famous guy. He was one of the warriors.
No,
no, the grammar warriors, the nerdy warriors. Who in the grammar wars. Yeah, well, the term didn't exist then, but yeah. This is earlier than I thought, 990 to 1055. Wow, yikes, in Al-Andalus. Okay, all right, but enough of that now. I just want to see if any of them comment on this here. You don't have to quote this yet. We don't know if we're going to actually quote this. I'm just skimming here. Sefer Hashrash and Radak is the only one I actually like kind of know my way around, but I don't know. It's not always helpful to me. Oh, interesting. No, yeah, here we go. He says, okay, this is on Eicha. This is actually the same usage as ours, right? That the presence of elders were not honored, right? Okay, and Mishlei also, don't glorify yourself in front of the Melech. Inyan hisnaus hisyafus v'haraos sever panim yafos. So it's making yourself nice and beautiful and showing a smiling face. Okay, but that's specifically lifnei. That's doing it the hispa'el. V'hadurim ava ayasher. Okay, this is not helping us here for the way I'm getting out of it, what I'm getting out of it. I mean, okay, fine. So we were on our own in terms of our mind. Why are we doing this again? What are question? Yeah, but what?
Trying to figure out the different drashas of these words.
No, but we have a lot now, right? We have hider. There is no intrinsic. I know what it was. You were trying to figure out why does hider davka imply mammon or kavod b'dvarim, but not stopping work. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this question is one where it's an intrinsic idea, or if these are just the ways that people do it in society. Like the way you honor someone. Like that's what a tribute to a king is you pay money to him, and that's a way of honoring him. And then the being mechabed him with like bowing and and like whatever and praising and stuff like that. But it just is not a way of honoring the king to like, I'm going to stop working because of the king. Like, it's just not a concept, I don't know if we need to go deeper than that. But it works out with Rambam now. Kimishish bahir, the ain bali umanas chayav lamin talmidei Chachamim drashah sofim lachash nemar talking about darta ma hider she'ein bo chesron kis af kimish ein bo chesron kis. That at the end of the day, then the two drashos work in concert with each other. But we end up saying that there's no that the hitter that we're talking. Yeah. It would be better if you quoted the first drashah. Still is bothersome, right? Because that's where it flows from, right? Is that you don't stop working. Stopping work is not a way of being mahadir someone, and as a consequence of that, you're not going to lose money, and therefore we say that you don't have to stand in a way that makes you lose money. But the concept is really from the not stopping your work. Okay, sorry, I'll see if the kavach has it, but I don't want. Oh, we have to stop it anyway. So let's just read the next one. And then on my list for tomorrow would be looking at the kavach, and then the other thing I was going to look at was the av, right? The av and the son who's his talmid.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Bli neder. Uminayin shelo ya'atzim einav min hachacham k'dei shelo yir'ehu ad shelo ya'amod mipanav. How do we know that you should not close your eyes from the chacham so that you don't have to see him, so you stand in front of him? The old trick, the oldest trick in the book, right? Because the end of the pasuk says, and you should fear God. Anything that is given over to the heart, it says by the Yeres Melokacha. This might be the first time we've seen this in the Mishneh Torah. That's a classic drashah about anytime it says Ani Hashem, it's giving you stuff that only God can see, right? So saying God sees when you're trying to avoid this. That's interesting. I'm trying to think what other mitzvahs this would have come up in. It could have been in one of the Hilchos Deos ones. Is it in Lo Seilach Rachel B'Nacha? It might be in Lo Seilach Rachel B'Nacha.
Is this source?
You don't need to look this up. This is just for my my own edification here. That's going to be in 20, I think. Lo Seilach. No.
Wait, you're looking at Vayikra?
Yeah.
Why are you looking for Raphael?
Just as Ani Hashem, but I don't think the Rambam darshans it there. Yeah. Yeah. All right, fine. All right, let's stop here for today. And I'm just going to stop this and I'm going to note for myself so I don't forget what I'm supposed to look